Welcome to West USA Weekly, the podcast, your go-to source for everything real estate in Phoenix, Arizona. We're breaking down market trends, local insights, and the moves that matter most to Valley agents. Interviews, tips, and the latest from one of Arizona's top brokerages, all in one place. Let's dive in.
Good morning, West USA. Welcome to another edition of our Monday morning podcast. Big week this week. Wednesday is National Dog Day. So I'm just preparing everybody for that. I thought it was National Hot Dog Day, and I got excited. I was creating memes.
All right, just check.
And then I went back in. I'm like, oh no, it's National Dog Day. That's kind of. Justin, do they have National Emu Day?
I would hope so. I feel like there's a national day for everything.
Yeah. All right. It's National West USA Podcast Day today. That's what today is. All right. Appreciate everybody joining us.
It's real inside. Just for everyone's knowledge, Justin has emus. That's why Mike asked.
Yeah.
So we're on the same page. Yeah.
I just like to leave the audience confused.
Yeah, you do.
All right. We got Tom Menard here to give us a look at the numbers. Justin is in the house. He's going to give us our mortgage minute. And then I'm going to share 3 insights of how I'm seeing Q4 playing out as far as how we are dealing with our buyers and our sellers. And then a huge announcement. Obviously, everybody knows about the big gala event coming up in November. And we've got our keynote speaker, Seth Mattison, here in studio. And we're going to really talk into, building your business. And it's got some great stuff for us. As always, comments or questions, feel free to email us at podcast@westusa.com. All right. I think, we normally don't post CE classes and so forth because we do so many CE classes, but I thought this was actually a pretty good one.
Yeah.
So for those of you that are using AI, which I should probably attend this one.
Everybody ought to attend this one.
Well, yeah. So this is a CE class, legal issues on the ethical use of artificial intelligence. So this is a great class. This is going to be going on tomorrow at 9 a.m. at the Chandler office. So make sure you get signed up for that. And as always, all of our events, even all of our CE classes, can be found on the West USA calendar. Just go to your dashboard or go to westusacalendar.com. All right. Claudia, she's just getting around. So she is going to be at the Scottsdale office the 4th Wednesday of every month. So I'm assuming this Wednesday is the 4th one of the month. So join her. She's just going to hang out. Is she bringing food?
No.
West USA should do that for her.
Okay.
We should have a Claudia buffet.
But
skill versus carbs.
Yeah, we're going to focus on the knowledge and the broker knowledge that Claudia's going to bring less tacos.
All right. And then, Nick, we got a big, as I was talking earlier, we got a big 40-year gala. Pretty excited about my new car.
And the one thing that we have failed to mention to all of our agents, because we know that you all love to plan well far ahead and have everything locked down, is the registration deadline. Because we are doing it at such a prestigious gala or event, they need the numbers very early. So October 15th is the registration due date. We know that we've had hundreds of agents that have signed up. The ones that we've talked to, everybody's like, yeah, I'm going to sign up. It's too hot to think about November. We understand that, but buy your tickets. Stop waiting because they are going to sell, and we do have some pretty amazing things coming.
All right, Todd, what's going on in the market?
Wow, I don't know how to follow the gala. That's a tough one. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Today, we're going over the Greater Phoenix Metropolitan Housing Statistics for the week ending October. See, you got me in the October thing.
Sorry, Todd.
August 25th, 2025 at 26. Gee, you know what? Here, let's go back. Hold on. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today. Today, we're going over the Greater Phoenix Metropolitan Housing Statistics for the week ending August 25th, 2026. Let's get right into our numbers. 82 days closed on market this past week, a 5.01 month supply. Absorption rate was at 19.94. Average list price this past week, $700,200. Average sale price this past week, $597,754. And our list price to sale price retention came in at 97.42. Active inventory up just a very little again, 24,439 available product. Pending is sitting at 3,566 and closed units month to date at 3,616. New listings taken this past week, down just slightly, 1 unit off, 1,899. Days on market for active came in at 92 and 82 for closed. Lower left-hand side where we get to see the active price ranges by price range itself, unit count, days on market. Again, you'll see there's just a few markets that have contracted a little bit. The rest of them are growing. we take a look at the overall, properties under 600,000 represent 68.73% of the entire MLS. 600 to a million is 19.7 or 19.17, and a million and up is at 12.10. So the spreadsheet where everybody gets to be the expert. Why? Well, because we're comparing week over week, month over month, year over year, all on one sheet. So again, the left column, we have the current week numbers, 1,899 new listings versus, like I said, 1,900. So what we're really looking for is a comparison of last week to see a little bit of a trend. And we're also looking for last year, same week, which is the salmon color just to your right at 1,827. So again, we're competitive. We're maybe even a little ahead this particular week over week, but we are still in line with what that 2025 numbers were. Active inventory is at 24,439, up just slightly. We're at 24,170. So we did actually go above what we did last year. We were down below a little bit. 672 are in the coming soon category. 18,563 single family detached. 2,597 new home construction product that's in there right now. Obviously, there's significantly more than that. Non-distress represents 97.6% of the entire inventory. 23,859 units. Looking at pending, this is the buyers that are in escrow, where you have a meeting of the minds between the seller and the buyers at any one time. 3,566 today versus 3,650 last week, 3,883 last year. So we're down about 300. There's 300 fewer buyers in the marketplace right now that are engaging than was last year. Looking at closed, we're at 3616 month to date. We are near the end. So again, the last week of the month is when everything closes, and then it trickles over into maybe the first couple of days of the new month. But we're at 4,090 units at this point. We're at 3616, 400 units and plus 460 short of where we would normally be. So again, we're may have, if you look way over in the blue on the right-hand side, we've had 2 green months. Well, actually, if you look at it, we've had 7 green months in a row. So things are really good from that perspective. Could this be the slowdown, meaning just the summer market is over? It could be. Again, we'll get ready for the second home market and when the snowbirds all come to town. And so we'll see a little bit of a reprise probably in the September market. But let's keep going and keep track of that for you guys. Month supply, we're at 5. We're in that mid zone. So we're in a neutral market. This has been pretty much where we've been most of the time. We're at 4.7 month supply last year. So again, relatively consistent. Just for grins and giggles, look a little further into the goldenrod section. 2 years ago, we had a 2.3 month supply. We were absorbing 43% of the inventory every single month. That's almost half. Right now, we're only absorbing 19.94. So the median sale price is what we always want to track, because this is really telling us what's going on. Obviously, week over week, you'll have some houses that you'll have that median be higher or lower, which is why we switched this to a month-to-date number instead of about 6 months ago, instead of that week over week analysis. So 450,000, we were at 449 last year. So again, if you're looking at the numbers, you're saying, yeah, you know what, of what's closing month over month, year over year, we're sitting right still in that 450,000 median price. So numbers aren't getting out of hand, but they're also not going down anymore. And I think that's important to note that, the properties, sellers aren't necessarily having to give the property away to make it go. 82 days on market. It's a little higher than we'd normally like. Normally, rule of thumb is at 70. And our list price to sale price retention is at 97.42. 97.8 is our 5-year historical average. So again, last year we were at 97.4. Again, market, what we're seeing here is there are sellers in the marketplace that are willing to list. They're willing to walk away from that 2.5%, 3%. That is such old news at this point. The reality is, sellers are in the marketplace, want to sell. Then there's inventory, so they can buy. We look at buyers in the marketplace. That's probably the big number difference. Is we're probably 1,500 people short than what we would normally like. That would get us into that 3-month supply, which would really be a brisk market, which is what we're really looking for.
Well, I was out of town this weekend, so I took off from the market.
Mike,
so
you can't do
that's
that.
what happened.
Yeah, so this is what happened.
You damaged the market.
Yeah.
Wow, Mike, that was very selfish of you.
Thanks, everybody.
Good morning, everybody. All right. So actually, we have rates are slightly better today than they were last Monday. And then there was a lot of ups and downs, a lot of volatility in between the week, but looking pretty good there. And obviously over the last 2 weeks, we have moved slightly down. So it's nice seeing that 6.7 rather than the 6.8 and possibly the 6.9. So moving in the right direction. All right. So today, it's kind of funny. Nick gave me a call on Friday talking about affordability, which we had already had this ready to go. And affordability has just kind of been the question lately. How is this working out? And really, one of the, and it's kind of year over year, we get a lot of self-employed borrowers looking to purchase homes right now. A lot of corporate owning corporations, S corps, partnerships, and they haven't filed their tax returns. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And it's really not that big of a deal, but obviously some business owners, you try to write it all off, so you're not having to pay tax returns or taxes, but there's a lot of programs for you. So we can use bank statements to qualify a self-employed borrower. If you have a high revenue, we can look at that bank statement, that business bank statement, whether it's 12 months or 24 months, and calculate the deposits that have hit that bank account on a percentage and give you an income based on that. And now these are business incomes, and it has to be a self-employed borrower. If you're 1099, so realtors, contractors, there's a lot of contractors I know that work at like big industrial plants that may have retired and come back, 1099 earners. So we can use that 1099 and calculate income based on the 1099. In some of these products, we can use 90% of that 1099 income. Also, let's go back to the bank statements. There are bank statements available for 10% down now. At one point, it was 25%. So this is good. Also, what we find,
you just have to be able to log in and download the bank statements, because I know agents. There's a lot of agents that don't know how to do that.
Yeah,
maybe Nick can help them.
Yeah,
it's true, Nick.
There is also P&L document loans. So if you had a great year last year, you're waiting to file those tax returns, your accountant's just not ready for you, you can get an audited P&L. That single P&L, we will use that for qualifying purposes and get you into a loan. So the point of this is I keep hearing, oh, there's no way for this person to do a loan. There generally is. You have to be very open with us, have to have a conversation with us, and we can generally work you in the right direction to figure this out. Whether it's this year or next year, we can give you the best plan on how to do this for the cheapest amount of money.
I think you'd also be amazed and be surprised on how many loan officers aren't really aware of these programs. They've heard of them.
Well, correct.
But they're not really aware of them.
Yeah.
And oftentimes their business owners or their 1099 employees aren't getting the financing because they're not aware of them.
It is it's pretty disheartening, but the problem is a lot of these consumer banks or even retail lenders aren't carrying these products. Some of your brokers out there, they just don't even dive into it to learn about these products. I feel like this is more of an intermediate type of product for a loan officer, intermediate to advanced. So it does take some time to really want to start diving into these products, but there's a lot of these kind of non-traditional products out there that can help people. And realistically, it's way cheaper than hard money, way cheaper.
Well, this is kind of like it used to be in the older days, which is, brokers and banks have certain amounts of product that fit their niche. And so they don't carry other product because of either the cost or the fact that the beneficiaries don't want to loan money, or better yet, they do. But if you're not providing them with consumers that are capable of obtaining those loans, they're going to shut you off. So it's not just going out and getting a particular product, and they're not going to go out and get a product for one particular client typically.
Right.
So, this is just something people have to understand. That's one of the reasons why we started doing business with Fairway years ago, was because John and you guys all have the products and a variety of such that meet such a wide spectrum. It's almost, if you're going to get, you don't qualify today, it's because of a really rare, unique situation.
Sure. Well, that's what I got for you guys today.
Well, no, and Todd mentioned in the old days. I mean, his old days, they were the Wells Fargo,
Well, they came in the coach.
Yeah, coach came pulled up with the money
and it was great.
and gold and things like that.
It was awesome.
But but in my old days, because you typically, you're beginning that process, and I need to know if the borrower or the buyer is 1099 or W-2.
Yep.
And it used to be, they were 1099. It was like getting kicked in the gut.
Like oh no, gosh. Yeah.
But now, dude, it's like, all right, let's talk to Justin, because he knows how to navigate this.
Yeah. It used to be like that for me, Mike, but now I kind of get more excited to see.
It's more of a challenge.
Hey, I got more options.
So real quick before we move on, the reason why I called Justin on Friday to have a conversation was that NAR released its member profiles, and it asked the question, what is your buyer's biggest challenge? And over and beyond any other reason, it was affordability. It's because, in my opinion, realtors are not taking the second to connect their client with the lender earlier in the process. Everybody, when I talk to people out in the world, the first thing they ask is, do you have a good realtor? My question back is, there's a lot of good realtors. Who's your lender? Have you had that conversation? Affordability is the issue, guys. We're not going to get around it. There is no magic bullet that's going to fix it. The fix is getting the individual in front of the best person to have a conversation about their finances, which is the lender. And you are then providing them a good lender that has all the options that Justin just talked about. Now you're saving the day. Now those people are not going to talk about just their realtor. They're going to talk about the person that connected them with the person that was able to close the deal. That's important right now. And I know, Mike, you're going to talk about Q4. That's kind of the other reason why I want to bring it up. That's a lot of stuff we should be talking about in the next couple of weeks.
Well, you got to have conversations.
I thought you called Justin about affordability because you did your taxes, but
oh, Mikey, I got two kids, buddy, and I work at West USA. We are 100% brokerage.
We have been having conversations for a decade now about having conversations. Use the word too many times, but about the importance of an agent. What can you say? You have to have more conversations with people if you want to increase your volume.
I appreciate you guys. You guys take care.
Thanks, Justin. All right, let us get into Q4 and kind of just where I see things are going, and more importantly, where I'm seeing the conversations going. And so let's just jump right into it. The first one, I think we've seen buyers. They're very payment sensitive, and I think we're going to get more and more into being payment sensitive. Especially, it doesn't seem like there's any end to the war in sight right now. Interest rates are up, interest rates are down, and so forth. And so, oftentimes, we are so focused on purchase price. And what can you afford in the terms of you're looking for $400,000, $450,000 home. For me, purchase price is irrelevant because we've got rate buy down programs. There's so many different creative ways, to get the payment that they want. But for me, I'm focusing, I think Q4, I think if you really want to get somewhere with buyers, you really need to dig in and dive into their payment situation, what they can afford as far as payment, whether they feel comfortable for as a monthly payment. And then from there, and to Nick's point, they've had a conversation with Justin, and now you can reverse engineer it and then decide what really is that price point. Because if I sit down with someone, I say, how much of a home are you looking for? $550. Well, where'd you come up with $550? Most especially new buyers have no idea where that number came from. And then you with that you really kind of get into the negotiations and, like I said, the rate buy downs and the concessions.
Again, we talk about the word conversion. It's one of the worst words we can use in this industry because we have to slow this roll down to create friends and influence people. We have to be people that are helping people achieve what their objectives are. And the only way you're given that information is to just keep asking questions and make them, they'll eventually arrive at a point where they believe all of a sudden that you have their best interests at heart. And that's the agent they want to do business with. But this is something that you can start having conversation, and you're not going to be the typical agent. I can tell you that, just having these conversations about, what they really need to be able to achieve that goal.
Yeah.
That's the importance of this.
I just realized I didn't send you these ahead of time.
You didn't. Okay. But I love talking about Q4. This is like business stuff. This is I could talk about this all day.
Yeah.
So this is the differentiation between an order taker and a consultant. When you have a client that says, I want to buy a $550,000 house, and you go, check, what area, how many bedrooms, bathrooms, and you start firing off listings before you start having conversations. That's the consultant side of this business. And that's where you thrive in the last quarter of the year. Why 550? Like your point, Mikey, where did you come from, Todd? Asking those questions. How much can you afford per a monthly payment at 550? What are you looking for a house at 550? Where are they? Like those questions, yes, make it maybe a harder conversation than the last agent that was like, whatever you want, I'm just going to do it. But that's how you navigate through the last part of this year.
Yeah, I think I actually, in one of the next points, I think I have order taker in there. So very well played. Well done.
Oh, okay.
All right, number 2, let's talk about sellers. And this is a tough one, but sellers need reality and not reassurances. I can't, we did a 3-pack on this months ago. I know you always put the days on market. And for me, the days on market, that means nothing to me. I take if I'm looking in a neighborhood, I take a sample of that neighborhood, and I'm going to go through the listing history. And what is the average days on market from when that house was finally priced properly to the close of escrow? It's not 70, 80 days.
No,
oftentimes that seller finds that sweet spot.
Friday.
And then days on market now drops to 15 and 20. And you have to show up with numbers.
Well, that's why the list price is, I'll let you finish, but that's why the list price to sell price retention is so important, because it does take that into consideration. They have the original list price to sell price, and then they have the list price to sell price. And that's at the moment the seller accepted it. And then you go back and look at the history, and you can see, were they overpriced, or, was it?
And oftentimes they were off,
of course,
or the house looked like crap.
Yeah.
But we're there. I mean, you'd be amazed if you take control of the dialogue, take control of the conversation, and become the expert. That actually provides a lot more reassurance than rather just hoping and praying that we get what that seller wants. But we have to set realistic expectations, and we have to this is the hard part. You have to let the market dictate the conversation, and you have to be able to explain the market and back it up.
Yeah.
Well, just that's exactly why we've said, NAR speaks, Lawrence Young speaks, Redfin speaks, some other, economist speaks, Cromford Reports here in Phoenix speaks, Todd Menard speaks on the Monday and Wednesdays. None of our data matters if you're not engaging with people, and secondly, the whole purpose of this of the statistical part is so that when somebody says to you a national narrative that came out of, say, Yun's mouth, you can come to the realization and say, well, actually, that's not true here in the Greater Phoenix metropolitan market. Here's what this is. And then at that particular point, Todd's and everybody's numbers aren't important, because the person who has the most important numbers is the agent working with that specific agent in that specific market in that particular neighborhood before they put the offer in.
And as a matter of fact, Nick, Lawrence Young, he texted me over the weekend, and he said, we're definitely in a buyer's market.
Yeah, I'm sure he said that. Right. Yeah.
You're definitely going to run into those individuals who know who economists are, but I'm going to guess that most of the conversation isn't going to be what the economists are saying. It's going to be, hey, John down the street sold his house in 2021 for X amount of money. And so I promise everybody, I'm going to have a new book here in 2 weeks. So I'm going to stop. Well, I'm not going to stop talking about it. never split the difference. You need to be having these hard conversations up front. So we're talking about quarter four. We're talking about the last part of the year. Last part of the year is one of the tighter parts of the year because of holidays. People want to stop doing stuff. This is the time of year that you need to look at what you're investing your time into. If you have a seller or a client that wants to hire you and you are not going to see eye to eye, you are not going to be on the same page on price or other things about that house, cut them loose. Let your time and your energies be focused on clients that are going to want to work with you, not against you.
All right, and motivation matters. You have to know why people want to transact, and I think sometimes this is the area that we make a lot of assumptions. An initial question, "Hey Todd, why are you and Lynn looking to buy?" Your answer is probably not the true motivation. And I think we talked about this last week. You have to come from that place of curiosity, of really digging deep. Because once I've identified, and I like to, even though I try not to be negative, well, I am negative. What am I talking about?
Not usually.
Yeah, but I try not to be so negative on this, but your motivations to me are problems. And my job is to solve the problems. And the more questions and the deeper that I dig, the more that I can be that problem solvers. And then to Nick, to your point, I think for Q4, focus on being the advisor rather than the order taker. We go to the restaurant and, you got a server just taking your orders. That's great. But then you got the server that's explaining things and giving the recommendations and asking. Yes.
Yeah. See the difference.
You should take me.
Well, someday maybe I will. Motivation is important. Obviously, it's the why behind most things. And again, that's so you got emotional and you got logistic, and the people are going to always act on emotional. It's just, that's what's going to happen. They may need certain things, but they're going to act on the emotional part. But again, I just go back to that same perspective continuously of, ask a lot of questions. What are your concerns? Don't just talk about the pretty stuff, or the happy part. What are your worries? What are your concerns? Why do you have that concern? You gotta basically, if it's like, I want a big backyard. And this is so trivial in comparison to really what we're talking about. But here's the thing, I want a large backyard. Okay, well, could you explain to me what a large backyard looks like to you? Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. Great. Well, what size yard would maybe not work for you? Eventually what's going to happen is in the same thing in finance. And Mike, you said this years ago when interest rates really were a problem. I mean, people were not engaging just because the interest rate at that day said it was too high and they were used to the 2.5 and 3.5. The point was, what's your worry about the interest rate? And why are you worried about that? What's the lowest the interest rate would have to be for you to engage today? I remembered you said those things. I think everybody else did. Those are the kinds of questions that when you dig deep, you get the truth. You get the real underlying non-facade conversation.
I think the backyard analogy is perfect here. You start with emotion when you're looking to purchase just what it is. Yes, there's a need there, but that desire to want to have something definitely takes over. I want a big backyard. Oh, that's fantastic. What does a big backyard mean to you, look like to you? We use emotions as descriptors, but emotions are relative. Big to me could be a lot different to Mike.
I want my next house to be updated.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. What does that mean?
Yeah, I want to have Wi-Fi. So you have to ask those questions to clarify what they mean. And the better that you are at asking those questions and then stop talking, the better you are to control or at least subjugate that emotion to the second priority. And then the real thing is what they're trying to do. What is that motivation?
And speaking of Q4, my favorite time of year to sell a home is
Christmas.
Yep, the weekend between Christmas and New Year's. I sell more homes if my wife doesn't. If I'm in town, everybody is jovial.
Yep.
Nobody is out shopping. Sellers are they're jovial. They're willing to make deals, and that's my favorite week of the year. So I told my team last Wednesday. I said my goal this year, I'm going to sell between 2 and 3 between Christmas and New Year's. Get under contract.
So many benefits of working Q4. Every other agent's like, oh, Thanksgiving's in 3 weeks. Okay, so they just kind of start disengaging, right? And then after Thanksgiving, it's like somebody turned a light switch off. It's like, half the agents disappear. That's the best time to get the best placement in marketplaces, to get your best dollar per click. It's the best time to get all those different things. But more importantly, you got a fraction of a competition. And yes, you have fewer people in the marketplace, but can you imagine, why would you choose the most complicated part-time of the market to really do business unless you had a reason?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Christmas Eve is Nick's day to shine. So the week after Christmas, you're pretty wiped out and resting.
Is Christmas Eve my day to shine?
Well, it's Santa's day to shine.
Yeah,
but you're working pretty hard too.
Am I Santa now? Is that what we're saying?
You just got elevated. You got a promotion. Yeah.
All righty. Appreciate it,
right.
guys. All right. That is our 3-pack. We are excited. We have our big gala event coming up, and nobody knows who our keynote speaker is. It has not been talked about. It has not been discussed until this morning. We are in studio with Seth Mattison. Seth, man, thanks so much for all the way from North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, boys.
Yeah.
Can I give you just your flowers real quick? I just glanced at the show, the rundown for the show timing wise. Y'all landed the plane to the minute of when I was coming on. Come on now.
Well, what's really interesting is this clock every Monday morning, it's off by
2
sometimes
minutes.
it's 1 minute, sometimes it's 2 minutes. So it's a game. It's
that's
actually
right.
a
You
racket.
did it. You nailed it. I love it. And I'm thrilled to be here. Thanks for the invite.
All right. Well, we appreciate it, and let's just kind of jump into what you do, but more importantly, your relationship with agents, what you're seeing, and how you help agents.
Yeah. So, well, first and foremost, I'm a 4th generation farm kid.
And I was telling you earlier, like I'm staring at you right at you in that headshot. I mean, that is spot on.
I don't know who sent this.
Because I get headshots of people like from 20 years ago, and we all know who they are.
Glamour shots.
Yeah.
It goes quick. Yeah. So listen, I'm a 4th generation farm kid. I father, grandfather, great grandfather, all on the property at the same time. At a really defining moment in the early 80s. I don't know if any of you guys more rural community parts of the country, but if you didn't grow up around ag, the 80s was a rough business. Interest rates north of 20%, inflation 13, 14%. Y'all remember that. But simultaneously, crop prices were bottoming out. And worst of all for us, land prices were collapsing. And so what that combination meant, during my formative years, all around me, I watched as friends, neighbors, extended family members, people started losing their farms. And this mantra, this sort of like mindset started to take root of like, you have to, in order to survive, you have to scale up. You got to take on debt, buy more, get bigger, or get out. You couldn't make it. Right. In fact, there was a 3-4 year stretch during my formative years where it's just awful to say, but it's the truth. The suicide rate tripled in our counties. There's just, and everybody, everybody's business owners. I love this community. Everybody's entrepreneurs, but there's a special kind of shame that comes with being the generation that loses the land you were entrusted to steward.
Any business, second generation.
Businesses, the thing with farming is like, there's no separation, which is similar for real estate. There's no separation between our life and the work. It just all blurs together. The reason I share that story with you is because at a really early age, I didn't know exactly what the work would look like, but I knew I was going to dedicate my life to helping entrepreneurs, business owners, and families be able to move through big disruptive moments of change, to be able to grow through disruption, because I saw the devastation that happened, not only for the individuals, but how it rippled into communities if you couldn't. And so today, the last 20 years, my work has really been about one thing. And I've always sort of framed it up as it's been about helping high-performing leaders in their teams prepare for the future. And that's thinking about mindsets, it's thinking about skills, it's thinking about how we attract, develop, retain great teams, and then respond to a changing marketplace. We're industry agnostic, so I would never claim to be a real estate expert. I get to work and touch all industries, manufacturing, transportation, retail, etc. But what that does, one of the advantages is we get to bring interesting points of view and perspective from outside spaces.
Oh, it's funny. Years and years ago, we used to do these events called a 6-figure mind shift. It was like a TED Talk style. We'd have 8 speakers, but we'd always have our top producing agents from around the valley. But we also wanted the top producing entrepreneurs, the business owners. Like, I love listening to a successful restaurant owner.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
they have a look in their eye
Oh.
of just, if we showed up as real estate agents to work every day with the eye of the tiger like that. But what are you defining today as the digital disruption?
Yeah.
Or what's the key thing that's disrupting our business, our real estate landscape right now?
It's a great question. Listen, everybody's been surviving. First of all, just the social media disruption. Obviously, the big thing today is artificial intelligence. That's not new. But one of the things that we're trying to help people understand and think through, and I love that you've got this ethics session coming up for people to tap into, is thinking about how and where we want to lean into and leverage these tools to not be afraid, but do it in service of offloading, creating capacity to free us up to focus on the parts of our work that only we can do, that the machines can never replicate and take. Now, people will say that, but I think there's a really interesting conversation to be had about, like, what is the parts of what you do that you truly can own that these tools can't replicate? And that's getting to be a smaller and smaller little pool of things, this uniquely human advantage. I'd be curious for you guys of, like, if you're seeing that as well, of, like, the folks that really lean in, leverage, are strategic where they use it, but they are unwilling, or they continue to lean in to hone their uniquely human skills and attributes.
Yeah, well, I'll jump in.
No,
we're always looking for who's going to go first. But no, and I'll take it just because of my generational gap. So there we are. So, I know that when AI first came out a couple of years ago, well, to your point, it's been out for a very long time, but as it has gained bandwidth and had greater visibility and exposure, and people were now starting to talk about it. And the new thing online was how to have a business online by selling a digital product associated with how do you learn AI?
Yeah,
I mean,
amen.
so it became this thing that was part of its ramp up. And so all of a sudden people started to talk about it more. And I said, well, wait a minute, as a, fourth quarter person, in the business, if I don't embrace AI, well, I'm just going to be, non-effective. And I won't have gained that skill around a portion of the business. No, but what I'm finding, not only just in myself, but what I'm hearing from leading AI users that use AI, is that how is it benefiting you? How is it taking, how is it giving you your time back?
Yeah.
And if it isn't giving you your time back, you're wasting your time.
It's a great prompt.
From that perspective.
Oh man, I think so. Nick has this book on his desk. I think it's called "Who Moved My Cheese?"
Yeah.
And every time I go into his office, I move the book.
Love that.
It's just part of my my charm. And and the premise of the book is we have to embrace change, and the people that don't embrace change will get left behind. But at some point, things change so rapidly that it's really not fair to people. Like, okay, yeah, I embrace change, but every time I turn around, AI is changing. It's so probably fast. All the disruptions that I've seen probably it changes the most, and at such a rapid pace. And so agents in our world can't keep up. They really don't. We do with a lot of classes. The classes are just all the same stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just really hard to for agents just to understand truly how it can change their business, how it could impact their business. And it's like anything else. Like we preach every single Monday, CRM.
Amen.
But a lot of us still don't, we're not religious about our CRM. And so
but there's a good example though of in terms of creating efficiency and capacity. If you're paying attention, you're leaning in and you're experimenting, depending upon what CRM, then the tools that you're using, you can develop and create agents that can capture, update, keep your CRM up to date for you. It's a good example of offloading that repetitive work that most people don't want to do, But then the question is, with that newfound capacity, how are you redeploying it in a way that creates value for your customers? I love the conversation, your 3-pack before of like bringing that more advisory perspective into those conversations. But what I also see though is like, especially in this industry, everybody's kind of paying attention. It's a little bit of like monkey see, monkey do, a lot of just like copy, and we rush into things. And all of a sudden, and you probably had this, you get an email or a message from, Tim, and you've known Tim for 25, 30 years. And you're like, God, I've known this dude for 30 years. This dude has never sounded this smart, this sophisticated, and this squared away in his life. And instantaneously.
Oh, that's what the entire corporate staff says when they get my emails and text messages. So I'm Tim.
So, you're like, and so, instantaneously, you're just like, Tim didn't freaking write this thing, whatever it is. And what's funny is to just sort of notice, because we've all gotten that message, is like, what happens inside of you? Did it create more trust or less? Number one. Yeah. And then number two, what did it prompt you to do? I've been on the receiving end of that. And then it's like, all of a sudden I dump Tim's email into my AI tool and have my AI write a response to Tim's AI. Now it's just our machines are talking to each other and we're no longer in the mix. And so
is that a bad thing?
Well, it's an interesting thing to think about of like from a brand perspective.
But it goes back to the book. That's where we're heading. And so why?
This is a great prompt. This is where we're heading. I think there's an opportunity here though, to be like, I'm not going to be a Luddite. I'm not going to fight it, but I tell you what I am going to do. I refuse to give away my voice to the machine.
Let me ask Nick this question. We've been doing the podcast for 12 years now, 13, right? Yep. Was it more enjoyable every Monday during the 3-pack to see all my typos, or when was the last time you've seen a typo?
Oh, sweetheart, today.
Oh.
Yeah, there was literally a typo at the top of your remain.
So you cleaned up the typos, but your smart, alecky behavior, and I've only known you for a little bit of time, does not seem to be lost in that. Like it still feels like it's true to you.
The typos is Mike. The typos is what makes the 3-pack endearing. Our voice and how fast it's going away is it's a problem. We should not replace our voice with AI. AI should replace inefficiencies in our day. The problem for real estate agents, we're so busy, and the disruptor for AI is AI. AI is a disruptor because, to Mike's point, your guys' point, it's moving too fast. Yeah. Agents don't know where to grab onto. They see, like you had said, they're copying. They see a producing agent all of a sudden find success. So that producing agent goes out and says, hey, I've been doing this. Pay me X, Y, and Z money, and I'm going to provide you my directions, Todd. I'm paying Todd, but Todd's successful because Todd's more focused on X, Y, and Z than I am. Yeah. So it doesn't actually benefit my business. West USA has had a long conversation about implementing AI into a lot of our systems, and why we do it slower than most is we don't want to lose the voice to our agents. That's the one thing that we're really scared about it going away. So we're trying to be incredibly intentional on the tool sets that we're adding through AI so that this doesn't stop.
Yeah. AI gave us, CRM gave us an automation. But AI gives us an interaction if you're using the automation, provided that you've got the right agent in place to be able to notify you when the person gives the buying signal.
Nicely said. Nicely said. Listen, so it's like, well, what do we do with this? So a couple of things I think about. Number one is just from a creation standpoint, when you're creating material, content, et cetera, and whether that's getting distributed through your emails, your text messages, social media, et cetera, is a couple of rules of thumb for me. First of all, is like, bring your material first to the tool. So many of us just totally offload all the critical thinking and say, write me a great update for the week, the month, and whatever. And it goes first. And then your question is, as you're looking at this thing, how much of me is in this? How much of me is in this versus bring your raw ingredients, your material to it and fine tune. And then you step back and you're like, yeah, that still is me. And this is part of calibrating your tool. The more you coach it to sound and replicate your authentic voice. Now, here's the challenge. If you've never written anything, if you don't have a clear voice, if you don't know who you are, then it's going to dictate those things. But if you've been writing, if you've been in the work, if you've been in pursuit of personal development and self-awareness and self-knowledge, and you know who you are in your voice, and you've trained and teach that tool, I promise you it will start to mirror you back. Just don't give it all away. Discernment, wisdom, taste. Own that. And again, I think I actually get excited of like, because everyone's chasing it, And there's so much, a sea of AI slop across LinkedIn and all these channels. There's an opportunity for your distinct voice to stand out. Leave some of the, like, I actually prefer, we were joking about it, but your misspellings and bad punctuation, that's a good spot.
Whoa.
Good at missing the punctuation.
Oh, I like that. Thanks for calling it out. Yeah. No, so here's kind of just my thought, being a driver and an analytic combined, kind of schizophrenia. So where does an agent go to learn or create their own perfect blueprint based on what they're trying to achieve using there's nobody that that I'm aware of that really has slowed this process down to walk into an agent's, but they just want to sell you a new tool.
Sure.
And of course that's capitalism, go for it. But how does an agent, and is that part of why they want to come and listen to you speak at the gala? Yeah,
listen, there is no going to be a big offer of like, hey, buy my tool. There's no tool. There's no tool to sell. What I'm trying to do is, this is a thought experiment. This is to challenge people. This is to reflect and sort of in a moment of pause to activate our agency, our ownership, our self-awareness, wisdom of like, what do I want, and to intentionally create that moving forward versus getting swept up in this. What I find is so many of us just sort of feel like, and this comes back to mindset, it feels like the world is happening to us right now. Like I'm just getting swept up in the wave and I have no control. A part of what I want to come out of all of my conversations is to get people to recapture agency and ownership. The future isn't happening to me. The future is being created through me, is one of my key mantras. The future isn't happening to me. The future is being created through me, which forces me to think, what do I want to co-create with the unfolding of this? I'm not a victim. I'm not a bystander. I'm not going to get swept up. I'm going to keep leaning in, keep learning, keep experimenting, but I'm also claiming and retaining my agency and authorship. I will not hand it over. And I think that will help you stand out, because, even in this world right now, it's like you've got more and more AI avatars. So there'll be is this even really you, let alone it's your talking head, but you're reading from a prompter and a script that AI generated. Here's what AI also can't give you. It can't give you your stories. There's a part of the prompt right now is like, you have to excavate the stories and the things that you have lived that no one else can replicate. ChatGPT, Claude, it can't give you the things that you've lived through that have made you who you are. So you bring that to the tool and it can help you fine tune, because I know so many people feel like, in my work, we do a lot of communication training as well, persuasion, influence, whether you're delivering in front of a large group of people or just in a setting like this. And they're wanting the secret hacks or
shortcut.
The shortcut, or they're feeling like, I don't think of myself as a prolific storyteller. I'm a great realtor. I'm a great agent. I'm great with clients, but I don't see myself as a storyteller. Well, first of all, is just recognizing that everybody who's tuned in right now, you have stories inside of you. We see these people who seem like, God, they just always have a little anecdote or it's intentionality.
We created a phrase years ago, call it storify your pitch.
Yep. Beautiful. Beautiful.
If you and I are at a coffee shop or golfing or whatever the case is, and we start talking about real estate, going back to coming from a place of curiosity, I need to know kind of where you're at in life, and I got this like a slot machine in my head going, what story? Okay, and then I hold it on this story.
He said slot machine, not library, which I just think is an interesting.
Yeah, that was good. A good catch.
Library, I don't even know what that is.
But I hear you though, right? And it's like that doesn't just organically happen. You had to bring some intentionality to that process. Stories are the access point. It creates connection. And one of the things that we're doing is, just even helping people frame that conversation. It's like, just to use it as a teaching moment. When you asked me what I did, what did I do? I didn't tell you what I did. I took you back to a story. And then I gave you why am I telling you that story? Because that story of growing up in that environment was the genesis of why I do the work I do today. So just sort of like showing behind the curtain of the magic and the act. That's intentional. And there's 1,000 other versions of that. So anyways, in terms of like this moment in time, AI is a big component of it, but I think it's not just a technology story, it's a human story, and it's creating this incredible opportunity, I think, for there to be some really bifurcation of the people who don't hand over all of their discernment, their critical thinking. They hold on to their human components, and they work to improve and elevate those uniquely human skills.
Did you see that post from Angie's yesterday?
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't know whether you guys in North Carolina ever had restaurant training. I wouldn't even call it a restaurant, called Salad and Go. But you're familiar with Salad and Go's from in the Valley. So
yep.
they all went. They got taken over by a VC, and they all went out of business. And the original owner started this other place called Angie's. Same concept, but lobster rolls. So it's even better.
Okay.
But they had this big post about how they started using AI generated tools for their marketing and stuff like that. And that they just got to the point they felt like it was taken away from the authenticity and that they weren't going to do it anymore. I just found it fascinating because this is what we're talking about.
Yep.
Like it meant that much to them. The credibility meant, and the integrity of their marketing meant that much to them. It was a big, long post too.
Yeah. You know, there's people in every line of work that are on the low end of a financial spectrum. And there's people in that same or similar line of work that have found themselves. They know who they are. They have self-confidence. They continue to develop skill. Doctors is who I always think of. You can be a surgeon, but what's the difference between the highest paid surgeon and the, that's a brain surgeon, and the lowest paid brain surgeon? And, it's not always mortality. But at the same token, if you continue to improve your specialty over time, and that comes because you look in the mirror and you need to do you. And I've said that for years. You're not in competition with every other real estate agent really that's out there. You're in competition with yourself. How are you using the 86,400 seconds God gave you?
Amen.
Every single day. Is it on purpose, or is it wasted because you didn't hold what you were doing accountable to a result?
Amen. Last thing I'll say on this, just to sort of close the loop as we kind of come close to our time, is one of the sort of areas we've been researching and thinking about is this idea that the things that signal effort are the things that will build trust in this environment. The things that signal effort, sacrifice, you had to leave a part of yourself in the process, slow, are the things that'll build trust. Why? Because AI makes so much so easy and so fast. So what does that mean? What does that look like? The story that I think about a lot in this piece of research is, I mentioned father, grandfather, great-grandfather, all on the property at the same time. But my grandmother was actually one of the most influential people in my life. And the best way to describe her is, she was the kind of person that liked to show people she loved them through food. And y'all probably have or can think of somebody like that.
Her and I would get along.
You like to eat me too. And she was...
No, you don't understand.
and listen, it's like if you came around, she had to feed you, right? And I got to experience that a lot growing up because we all sort of lived on this extended, farm property. And when I left the farm and went to university and then into management consulting initially, and I always thought back to her place, like, why did everything always taste better in Grandma's kitchen? Because it wasn't that she was the greatest chef or the greatest baker, but it always tasted, why? And I felt like it was this combination of her love of cooking mixed with her love of people. It just meant that you could taste the love. And that idea of like tasting love, seeing love in products and services and experiences has become this point of differentiation in the age of machines of like, what would it look like for you to do what you do with love? What would it look like for that one-on-one, that showing, that taking that whole customer journey for you in your unique way? And people will ask, could you put a little meat on the bones of like, what would it mean for that thing to be made with love? I think it is to leave a part of yourself in the thing. And that requires sacrifice. You pine over it, every little detail. And those are the things that will differentiate. If you pair that with the tools, again, we're not anti-technology. I'm not anti-AI.
Yeah.
I want to use it everywhere. But I draw the line of like, but this over here is sacred. It's sacrosanct. Like I bring that level of reverence is the word that I would use to that process. It's freaking holy. And if I treat it as such, I will create a unique brand experience in the marketplace because people will feel the difference.
Yeah. Wow. That's impactful.
That's where we're going in November.
Yeah.
So we're kind of touching on some of the things, but we're going to lean in. We're going to end the year on a bang, send people off.
We're looking forward to it. kind of where my lasting thoughts on AI and when it comes down to technology, I'm late to every game. Like, I'm never on time.
Sure.
And definitely never ahead of the curve. So it's been, over the last 4 or 5 months, I've been really kind of getting into it. Hence my son's got an AI business, so it was time. I couldn't explain what he did. And so what I've learned for agents, it's like, here's this prompt and here's this prompt and this prompt. And we haven't like figured out like, how does AI actually work and what is it capable of? And so I've spent a lot of time just to the point, my AI chat, he's got a name. His name is Bob. And it was fascinating for me watching like the context or the text of how we came to that and how it just not how it thinks. It's not thinking, but how it actually works. And then for me to go, okay, these are the things that I do. Let's every once in a while you ask me 5 questions. Just you ask me about me.
This is it.
And so I did this for months, Seth. And then last week I go, by the way, do you know my name?
Yeah.
It's like, no, you haven't shared that with me yet. I'm like, dang.
Wow.
But it was, but I can see it as time moves on of just, and for me, I do let it write a lot of content because I'm doing a lot of experimentation right now. But it is because as it gets to know me, because I make it ask me questions, and it gets to know me. It's like incredibly for strategy.
Incredible.
I need I want to market this. I want to post this, or I want to do this event. Give me some concepts. Give me some ideas. And then let's flesh them out. And then probably my number one prompt that I have to give it is, Bob, one step at a time. Don't overwhelm me.
What about Bob?
I love it. It's a perfect example. You've been calibrating, Bob.
Yeah.
And building incredible things. And now it's like, and we all have this, you've got a PhD in each one of those parts of your business available to you if you lean into it. It's beautiful.
And that's what I just want to clarify, Seth, what Seth's talking about when he says intentionality and love and effort, that also could be in your technology. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So if I mean, the question that started this conversation, I thought was a very powerful one. And I do think it depends on your personality, but the next time you get an email and Tim, who you've known for a long time, sounds like a PhD, how does that make you feel in the email that they sent you? You feel kind of deflated. You feel like, oh, okay, well, I guess Tim doesn't have the time for me to send me an email anymore. But if Tim would take the time to put in the emails that you've sent. So if you don't have a lot of literature out there that you've written or spoken, you can take emails that you send, you can take texts that you send, and you can train it. So to give Mike a little bit of credit here, which I try not to do on this podcast, I've followed Mike for many, many years. I have seen an uptick in his posting. I really couldn't tell that he was using AI for his messaging. Now, I kind of knew because it was coming more consistent, because love you, you're not the most consistent guy when it comes to this kind of stuff, but your words were very similar. It wasn't a complete 180 from how you speak.
It's great.
That's that intentionality. You can use AI in your business, and you should, but you should not just say, hey, new AI bot that I paid for an hour ago, write me a whole letter that I can send to my clients. That's what we're talking about when it comes to love and energy and intentionality.
And I appreciate that, but I'm often also going, "Hey, Bob, that doesn't sound like me. That sounds way too sounds way too much like AI."
Totally.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is when I learned that brand was the person's feelings after they were done using your service. I didn't realize. I thought brand was a logo, the swoosh or something, or the ultimate driving machine, unique selling proposition, or something along those lines. I thought that was brand. But when and again, I was in college when this epiphany happened. But it was one of those things where they said, it's how you make people, when people, it's not you. It's how do people feel after they're done having experienced you or your services? And that is what we're trying to say. We've got to connect that ultimate walk away with them coming to the realization all by themselves that we're the person they want to refer out, we're the person that they want to repeat do business with, we're the person that they want to, if they, want to go to the ball game and they don't know who to call. Oh, you know what? I think I'm going to call Todd because I kind of align with the way he thinks and does his business.
Seth, I enjoyed this, man. This was great.
Me too.
I appreciate
Thanks
this.
for the opportunity. This was
All
a
right,
blast.
so I will, moving forward, I will not even have Bob edit any emails or texts that I send to you, so you
I
can
want
experience.
It raw. I want raw
you
mic.
are, you're
Raw
gonna,
mic.
You're gonna be like, this guy's got an MBA in what?
I love it.
All right, we'll leave everybody with the quote of the day. And again, Seth is going to be our keynote speaker for the big gala event. Nick,
Sign up now.
need you to focus on being productive instead of being busy. But keep the loaves of bread coming, my man. Those are good.
Sourdough.
I can taste the love in them. Appreciate everybody joining us. Go out and sell a home.